He changed the name to drop down.
Come on!
Okay, God knows what's going on there, chaps. Right, okay, what an awful start to the show. What I can tell you, chaps, is actually on what people are seeing is okay. What we're seeing is, certainly my end, it's gone all wrong. But that's because I'm having trouble with my internet. So let's hope that don't carry on. So, yeah, a bit of an unusual start. So I'm going to go around you all one by one. Cally, not spoke to you for a little while. How you been? It's been a bit of a break from not having a show last week. How you been?
Yeah, I've been all right. I only found out 5 minutes before the show last night that you weren't coming on.
Yeah.
But I gathered you wouldn't be on because it was your birthday. So
yeah, all right. Yeah, don't need to remind everyone about that, mate. You know what I mean? I'm getting old.
He was out using his new bus pass, wasn't he? He was out using your free bus pass.
Absolutely.
Is that the reason you blew me off at the weekend, the birthday party?
But you might want to rephrase that, Simon.
Yeah.
Oh, dear, well, that's even worse, isn't it?
I've just realised what that sounded like, mate. Everybody, I'd like you to meet Simon, the man that I did not blow off at the weekend.
Allegedly.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No. Everybody would like you to meet Simon. Simon is the commercial manager at Chippenham Town FC, who are in the National League South. And welcome on board, mate. We met at Billericay.
We did.
When I was down doing the away day. But yeah.
What a good away day it was.
Yeah, so we've cut Dan out there. But Dan, how you been?
I've been really well, mate. I've been great, yeah. Really good. Looking forward to the FA Cup semi-final of the weekend to see Palace. But yeah, no, I've had a good week. Went up to Widnes to see them play Kids Grove, which I think we'll chat about later. But no, I've been good, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, we absolutely will. Just Stephen Dawes on. Hello, Stephen. Robbins Lou's on. Hello. Yeah, great night at Carlton Town. We'll be touching on that again in a little while. I'm just a little bit concerned about my internet, guys, if I'm really honest with you, but we'll have to see how we go. So, look, let's crack on. Let's talk a little bit about Chippenham Town and Simon. So, Simon, obviously commercial manager at Chippenham Town. Give us a bit of insight into Chippenham Town Football Club, mate.
So, yeah, I suppose the role itself, I'm fairly new to it, so it's a learning curve for me at the moment. So I sort of allied to the club probably about 25 years ago, as you can tell from my youthful exterior. I was a little boy when I started going down there, so progressively gone from supporter to flogging 50-50 tickets and programmes out the front, and went away, did fairly well in a career in sales and marketing, and went to the board of directors last year and said, let me have a crack at see what I can do with commercial in the community. So, that's where we're at the moment. The club itself, been going since 1873. So one of the oldest clubs in the world, to be honest. Certainly one of the oldest clubs in England. As you said earlier on, in the National League South at the moment, playing quite well. It's the highest league standing we've been in our club's history. I think we've been there since 2016-17, where we won the Southern Premier League. So, all things considered, as a club, they're moving in the right direction.
Can't hear you, girl.
He's gone off again, hasn't he?
Try and do me professional
I'm
lip
on
reading.
mute. I'm on mute. That was my fault.
Start doing sign language.
God help me. God help me.
Is he still hungover?
Oh, don't,
Is he
mate.
being blown off at a minute?
I'm having a right nightmare. No, I was supposed to go down Friday and do one of our away day videos at your game against Maidstone.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they're flying away at top of league, very much looking like now that maybe they've got a bit of a buffer between them and Dorking Wanderers. Looks like they're going to take that title, failing any major slip-ups. Good day, was it? Reasonably big crowd for you as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you know what? In terms of the crowd, from a standpoint of Chippenham, it was quite disappointing, mostly due to the fact that we had a fairly successful community engagement the week prior with a Manchester United Legends fixture that drew a crowd of just short of 2,000. We were expecting to see a couple of those guys turning up for the game against Maidstone. We had a crowd of 707, which was an increase on our average attendance, but a large following from Maidstone, as you can imagine. Like you said, Gail, with them chasing the title, we were always going to travel in numbers, and they did, to be fair. Certainly got a good 200, 250 Maidstone supporters, so we didn't really see a massive knock-on effect from our own engagement and our own endeavour, but we will persevere. It was a good enough day, a good enough game, to be fair. It was as you'd expect. They came down and played a lot of football. We tried to stick ourselves behind it and absorb what we could. Shut down Luque, try and stop Sam Corn in the middle. It didn't work for the first 25 minutes. They were much stronger than we were, and then on the half time we put a right thunderbolt in from Tom Mayhew and gave ourselves a chance. Half-time team talk looked pretty positive, and then 47 seconds later, Luque had the ball in the back of the net. So all plans kind of went out the window, and a bit unlucky with a penalty shout at the end, but they probably were good value for the win. And like you said, rightly, so they're probably going to walk away with it now. Yeah,
and up until then, you actually were in for a shout with playoffs there, weren't you?
I suppose that the optimist would say that we still are. We're only 2 points outside of it, but our running from Maidstone was disgusting. We had Maidstone on the Saturday. We've got Dorking on Friday. It was second. We've got Oxford, who are fifth, on the Monday. Then we've got games against Havant. We've got games against Dulwich. We've got games against... If they're in the playoffs, we're playing them. Ebbsfleet, we've got Hungerford. Hungerford are probably the weakest side we've got, and they're currently sat in the seventh playoff spot, I believe. So that give you some sort of idea of just how tough our running is. It's 6 very, very difficult games, and if we were to make the playoffs at this point, then I don't think anyone in the world of football could argue that we deserve to be there. Yeah,
that would lead me to the question, and I'll obviously let the other two lads have whatever questions they want me in a moment. But I'll touch on this because obviously I met yourself when you were playing Billericay. I was doing the Billericay away day at the time, and a jump up, if you were successful and got in the playoffs and actually won, you're in the National League. And for me, I think the question I put you quite bluntly at the time on that video was, could you afford to do it? And I think that is the big question that most clubs got in their mind at the minute. Can they afford to go up the league, and the crazy money that's going on in that league at the minute?
I think the obvious answer to that is no. But then I don't think, if you look at the majority of clubs, I'd say 75% of the division, should they achieve promotion, wouldn't be able to afford it. I just think back at this moment to previous hierarchies and previous teams at Chippenham that have taken promotions. Way back in the sort of the turn of millennium, we were in the Western League, and when we were talking about going up, we couldn't afford the next level up. Then we went there and we won that league, and then we got promoted again into what is now was the Dr. Martens Premier League at the time. We finished second. Promoted again, back-to-back promotions, neither of which we could realistically afford from the outside looking in. Then 2016, we won the Southern Premier League. We had a healthy playing budget in 2016 as well. But all well and good, 2 very good strikers and a lot of backing from our chairman, who has been phenomenal for as long as I can remember, that has always picked up the slack where, say, for example, certain other wealth isn't coming in. And no, we couldn't afford it, but nor could 75% of the league at this point. And, when we came out of the Southern League into the National League South, looking at that level of football then, you put ourselves as a small market town with a 50, 70,000 population. We were probably in that situation where we looked at that and thought, Jesus, we can't afford the National League South. 5 years later, we're established. We're having a little look at the playoffs. Might fall short a little bit this year, but we're talking realistically in our groups about tooling up for a good go at it next year to see if we can really get into that mix and cement top 7. So it's always difficult. Of course, it's easy enough when you've got people coming in and bashing the door down with money in their hand to give to you, but unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet. And I'd say that if we were to find ourselves in the National League, then we would adapt, which I think is a massive word for all football clubs when it comes to finance. They adapt.
Yeah. Simon, when obviously you've been at a lower division club and you're getting promoted, what is it that costs you the most? Is it the actual improvements to the grounds and other stuff, or is it the fact that you've got up players' wages and get better players in?
It's a combination of the two. So the way that I'll say nothing but good things about our chairman. Our chairman, Mr. Neil Blackmore, has been phenomenal for Chippenham ever since coming on board. He's always been a couple of years ahead of himself in his own plan, which I suppose is a very sensible way to run a football club. When we are looking at things such as can we take the step, can we take the jump, he's already made the plans in terms of the ground provisions. We received a fairly hefty grant a couple of seasons back to overhaul our bar area and do other bits and pieces to make it probably a little bit more National League South standard. So that comes with a certain expense. The players, in terms of their increase of their wages, yes, that obviously factors in. You do need to go and find better players. Sometimes you need to be very, very lucky. You need to find the right player that fits at the right time, and that usually comes with a manager contact, or it comes with a backhander from someone such as Swindon, who pump us a lot of loan players. And Swindon, to be fair, are very good to us. A lot of their big lads that have come down on loan over the last couple of years. Scott Twine, he's moved for great money to MK Dons. We had Ricky Aguiar all this season, who's broken into their first team. Harry Parsons, who was recalled from a loan to come off the bench against Manchester City in the FA Cup. Harrison Minturn came to us for 3 months as just signed a pro deal. So we're very lucky with that. They help us out, and it really is a combination of the two. I think that when we are looking at taking that jump or making that next step, it's always an effective plan. I'd say out of the two of them, of course, ground improvements probably cost more because they're slightly more hefty in terms of the bigger purse, but it's always just as difficult to find the extra couple of £100 that you need in the budget to put a better class of player on it.
So when you get these players off Swindon, does Swindon pick up the bill for the wages?
I imagine it's a sort of an agreement between the club and also Swindon to mutually benefit both parties. So naturally, we can't afford to pay the wages of a Swindon Town professional footballer. If we could, we might be in League One, League Two. So it would be it can vary from whether we pay half of their wages or whether we pay their expenses, or whether Ben Garner and Ben Chorley just say, look, we've got a player that we know that we need to be first team ready. We need him playing men's football. He's not going to get that in the 23 setup. He's going to get a lot of time to stand off the ball and a lot of space on it, but he's not going to get to, he's not going to get the blood and thunder of men's football. And having Chippenham as a link in the National League South, which all of you can attribute to, is a fantastic level of football now. It really helps them. So they can send their players to us. We can, put a bit of grass on their knees and send them back to Swindon with probably more experience inside that 2-3 month loan spell than playing an entire year in a 23 setup would do. So it's a combination of both. Some players are cheaper than others. Of course, we do get the pick of the Swindon loanees, so we get the better players out of the 23s and the reserves. So we have to be aware that sometimes their expenses can be a little bit more. We have to cover that. And but no, they're very good with us, and hopefully we're doing a good job with them looking after their players as well.
I guess it's the infrastructure as well, isn't it? You've got to build that up at the same time as the club and everything around it. Is a youth team? Is there a big youth set up, an academy at Chippenham?
Absolutely. So the academy is a fairly new venture that was invested by the chairman a few years ago. I believe Joe Sharples was a coach in the local area that ran a slightly smaller academy and then purchased or acquired Pulse Academy, which made him a fairly big player in Wiltshire in terms of youth football. He wanted to be allied to a football club, and we naturally thought that's a good idea. We got on board with it, and now our academy is absolutely thriving. So we've got an under-23s that have provided us with 5 first-team players this year in a pinch. We've got those under-23s are currently sitting top of the Suburban League as well, with some very good academies in there: Woking, Bromley, Aldershot, Slough, just to name a few. They've got a very real chance of winning that league. I believe if they go to Bromley on the last day of the season and get a positive result, they do take the league title. So they're a good crop of lads that are coming through. We've got under-19 set up, and obviously now working on a youth setup coming right the way through into that. So with the whole education aspect of kids not being allowed to leave education until 18 without a full-time job, a lot of these kiddies coming out at 16 with still some sort of semi-aspirations of playing football. What the academy offers them is a sort of a no excuses way of continuing their education, continuing a high quality education of football learning, and to try and offer them the best opportunity that they can get to go in. And we've had a couple of very successful lads come out of it. So we moved Ben Hughes on to Swansea a couple of years ago. Landon is being looked at by a lot of Premier League football clubs. Ola Lawal, who's currently with us at the moment, he's got a lot of buzz around him. So there are players that make it. Of course, there are players that don't. But for those lads that maybe fall out of the professional game,
there's a lot of them, isn't there? There's a lot of them. Yeah.
There are a lot of them there to pick up. I mean, the likes of Will King out of Swindon, he come and join our academy. Noah Coppin come to join our academy. They're good lads that just for whatever reason didn't make it in the pro game, but they've got every aspiration of heading back that way. And I'm sure most people be aware of the story between Chippenham and Tyrone Mings. We're a good shop window for clubs to come and have a look at. It only takes 1 or 2 of those players to make it, and suddenly you're on the map.
Yeah, definitely.
No, that's excellent. That's excellent. And yourself, I mean, you say you started off going there as a youngster, following your local team, doing the 50-50 raffle selling and whatever else. How did you get into the position of commercial manager, just out of interest?
So I suppose it's a long journey. So you end up sort of with a club like Chippenham and its size. When I was going down there as a kid, I was going down there with the likes of people like Lee, Shane and Jason Blackmore, who are our chairman's children. Chippenham's not a massive place. It's a fairly small town with I think 3 secondary schools. The likelihood is that everyone knows each other. If you stepped out of line in Chippenham Town Centre on a Friday night, you were normally getting smacked by one of your parents' mates, and you couldn't say anything. So everyone kind of knew everyone else, and I come to the club as everyone else did, really. A young youth player for Chippenham Youth that got a free pass into the ground, and I came in there, and as soon as that had happened, I think there's an X-rated version of how I got in there. I was training round the back, and the lads, when they were in the Western League, kept on kicking balls over. I kept on running them back, almost like a dog. And then our old skipper, Lee Byrne, said, "You fancy doing that again on Saturday? We got a game against Brislington." And I said, "Jesus, I don't hold much hope for you. I mean, if every single time you're shooting a ball in there, it's hitting this training pitch over here, I bet you're going to get battered." So I went down there, and I fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love with it. And then obviously, as people tend to do when they're young, they grow up. And I sort of went away, and I moved into sales and marketing with a telecoms firm for somewhere near 10 years. And I was having a conversation with a couple of the board members one afternoon about how things hadn't really progressed commercially with the football club. And they were talking about their issues and what they had and their problems that they were looking to stem. And I just thought, I've done this for a living for 10 years. Just please put it in my hand, and I'll have a crack at it. And so credit to Neil, credit to John, credit to all of the board of directors. They've backed me, and they've really given me the keys to the kingdom to do it how I want to do it. And touch wood, so far it's been a fairly successful endeavour. We've got a lot of hard work to go, but
do you go out? Sorry, buttons up. Do you go out and try and attract businesses to come in and people to sponsor? Is that your role? Is it
absolutely? So 9 times out of 10, my role it's walking the streets. It's getting on a beg. Speaking.
Listen. Hang on a minute, mate. First of all, you think I'm going to blow you off. Now you're talking about walking the streets and going to bed. Come on, mate. What show you think?
I was one of those you could say what you wanted. I was told there was going to be no qualms.
You can say what you want on this show.
Well, I'm trying to mind my P's and Q's, and you're making it all dirty again.
I know. Yeah.
You do realise Gary's wearing nothing underneath for that shirt. You can see
someone else you've got in common.
No, the blatant lie that is, mate. I've got stockings and suspenders on, mate.
You don't need that, innit? But no, I mean back to your original one, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It's walking the streets and going into businesses in the local area and sort of appealing to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can seem like a bit of a beg. Sometimes it can seem about a way about trying to sort of how do you ingratiate business in Chippenham with their community aspects into the football club.
Yeah.
We've got a really good following on social media, which most people tend to have these days by virtue of where they're situated. And my job is really sort of how do we link you as a business into our business and funnel the best ROI for you. It's only a small part of my job. 9 times out of 10, sponsorships and commercial sponsorships, they generate themselves. Most people will come to you with an interest. The biggest aspect of my job and probably my biggest goal over the next 12 months is to align the football club the way it needs to be from a community standpoint, to have youth teams, to have the academy, to set up a ladies' side, to really bring everyone into a really inclusive Chippenham Town Football Club, and most importantly, to raise the gate. We're a National League football club with a lot of money going into it from a board of directors, and that money's going in, unfortunately, because of an absence of supporters. It's no knock at the people that come down as casual supporters, but for us as a football club now, what we've got to try and work out is how can we turn these casual 2, 3, 4 times a season supporters into long-term spectators that are enjoying their product, and that's going to be our biggest task.
Because you need a local club is that what you want it to be, the hub of the community, didn't you? You want all the businesses invested, so you all grow as one, and you like your team wins, everyone's on a high sort of. You want everyone involved, didn't you? And that's the battle you face, but that's
100%.
Sounds like you're going the right way about it, though. Definitely.
Well, hopefully, I think our next endeavour is to get into the community at source, to really sort of hit it in the areas where we
schools and stuff.
Schools, yeah. Bearing in mind that I started the show the way I did, and the joke's been long running, I was a bit hesitant to say that the next place I wanted to go was into the schools. I thought that was going to be a free striking out method, but no, that's obviously where we're starting. So schools will be the next direction to get the youth of Chippenham involved with football, because ultimately that's where your love affair with football starts. I think if you ask most people that are involved at football, whether they're young in their 30s and good looking like me, or Gary, we all started as kids. We all started as children watching football, falling in love with it, and it's one of those things that we've not really worked hard enough, by our own admission, on over the last sort of 10 years, because we've had positive results, and because the club's been doing well on the pitch, we've almost been lazy on our practices off it, because it's been taking care of itself. Now we're sort of stagnating in that sort of between 13th and 10th in the National League South. We've got to go out and do a bit more work, and that's obviously why I'm in place now.
Yeah.
I think the schools, getting out to the schools is a good thing, because back in the day when I was at school, it was a long time ago, but they were very anti, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, well, I want to be a footballer. Yeah, but what do you really want to do when you grow up? And it wasn't a thing that they thought you could get a career out of at school, so they were stopping me playing matches on a Saturday for Watford. And it nearly cost me my career at Watford, but they seem to work a lot more now with the fact that you can earn good money out of being a footballer, and it is possible. So getting out to the schools is a really big thing.
That's exactly it. I think, your point about earning a living from football these days, I mean, we'd all like to be in that position where we're earning, £250,000 a week from it, but there are very few players on the planet that have got that ability. But, when you look at the non-league game as what it is now, particularly, steps 5 and 6, there's a lot of money batting around that level of football.
Loads.
It's almost disrespectful to say, but some very average footballers making a good living from football at that level, and below it. To be fair, when you dip into the Southern League, and when you dip into the Evo Stick level of football, there are people earning 200, 300, 400 quid a week knocking a ball around part time for clubs in the Southern League. That's not a bad living by any stretch of the imagination. So the more and more people realise that there are careers in football, and there are careers in football outside of the playing side of football, then I think that education and football can liaise quite well. And to be fair, we've got good schools in Chippenham that understand that. And like I say, I'll probably reference him about 50 more times, but with Tyrone treading the track he has, educated in the town, raised in the town, playing for the town football club, and going on to be what he has. It sort of sparks almost a rocket up the arse of people in the community to think, do you know what, I could do that. It can happen.
And you've got to take advantage of Tyrone's success, haven't you, and use that as a blueprint, haven't you?
Yeah, I was just about to say, does he ever, would he come back to the club and do an evening with Tyrone? Would he do all that to raise money?
He's come back a few times, to be fair to him, but he's come back in a capacity more of a supporter. It's very strange for Ty. I mean, I grew up with Ty. His dad, Adi, was the manager in 2005. So we were kiddies on the terraces together, knocking a Panda Pop bottle around the dugouts and being pains in the arses on the terraces. So I've known Ty a long time. Our parents have been friends since their school days. And it's awkward. When Tyrone comes home, he just kind of wants to come home, watch the football, have a laugh. Still never put his hand in his pocket for a drink, by the way, which I think is disgraceful that he still makes me buy his but he just wants to be kind of, just wants to be there in a capacity of just going down and watch the game. I think over the last couple of times he's been down, he's realised that's never going to happen again. His celebrity status has gone through the roof. I mean, when he signed for Bournemouth, it was, oh my God, that's Tyrone Mings. He used to go to Sheldon. When he signed for Villa and picked up his England caps, he can't walk in the town now without being stopped by everyone. It's men, women, and beast are all stopping him in the street and can you sign this? Can I take a quick picture? So the last time he came in, I slide him in the back gate and hide him up in the top left-hand corner. And he comes back every now and then, but he kind of keeps it on the down low, Gary. Do you know what I mean? Like, if we were to ask him to come back and do something, I'm sure he would, but he doesn't tend to sort of, have a lot of time on his hands these days with a lot of commitments that he has got. And, he's doing his stuff in his own community now. He's doing a lot of these things for Birmingham level area.
Yeah. Is there hope that he'll come finish his career back at Chippenham?
Nah, God no, he was useless as a left back for Chippenham. honestly, useless as a left back for Chippenham. It was when he got signed, I was absolutely stunned, and it goes to show, doesn't it, that sometimes all you need is that little bit of luck, little bit of someone having a bit of belief in you. And Mick McCarthy was that guy for him.
Did he go to Ipswich? Was it Ipswich?
Yeah. One of our lads who played for us, Toby Osman, his dad, Russell, is someone that a lot of people will probably remember from being in
Russell Osman,
successful time.
So Nigel probably played against him, mate.
Yeah, I did,
Yeah, he'd have played against him.
Russell put the call in and basically said, we've got a lad here at Chippenham that you've got to have a look at, Mick. He got taken up to a training game and within about 30 minutes he was signed.
Bloody hell. Because he was a good, he was a fullback at first, wasn't he? And then they converted him to centre back. But he had a bad injury, didn't he, for a couple of years, didn't he?
Yeah, he picked it up at Bournemouth. So, you can't write the luck, bless him. He goes through the academy process. He got let go. He was playing for Yate. We picked him up. We sold him to Ipswich for peanuts and a bag of training tops. Unfortunately, such is the way when league clubs wanted players in the Southern League. We never really got any real recompense from that. But, we don't begrudge it. Players are there to move on and better themselves in their careers, and that's what happened. He had a great season for Ipswich. Obviously, Creswell leaving for West Ham probably helped that. And then he was up in the playoffs, and the Premier League was coming knocking. There was talk of him going to Palace. There was talk of him going to Arsenal. And in the end, it was Bournemouth, and it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
Then obviously they had a lot of good centre halves. Bournemouth, they had Stevie Cook, Charlie Daniels, who was playing still inside at that time, and they're good players. Nathan Ake coming through. So game time was limited. He come on 15 minutes into his debut. Danny Drinkwater goes running through his ACL and leaves it on, leaves it somewhere hanging off his kneecap. And it was a long route back. And for a lot of the time, he didn't think he was going to make it. But
it just shows where he's come from, though. That's probably why he's got so far, because he's probably realised how tough it was.
That's exactly it. It's if you look at him now, the way he was blooded in that style of football, he was playing with 35-year-old, 36-year-old veterans when he was 19. He was going up with the likes of Martin Paul and training with the likes of Ian Harvey that were just machines, absolute machines, playing well into their 30s, some into their 40s, and staying remarkably fit. And it buys you that attitude that nothing's a given. And his professional career is what it is now because he works hard. And
he's got hunger, isn't he? He's got the
no
hunger.
one can take it away from him. The guy works hard.
Yeah. Cool. That just Nigel, I just wanted to capitalise on that with Russell Osman. Ipswich were a bloody good side back in your day, weren't they, mate?
Yeah, they were flying at the time. I think Brazil was playing at the time, and
Mr. Talksport,
yeah, the other lad up front, the small lad. But I think he was in the England side when I was in the under-21s. Russell. So I saw a bit of him. I didn't really know him that well. Like you said, Ipswich had a really good side in them days.
Yeah.
Friends
yeah,
Tyson,
very good.
wasn't it? He was the Dutch fellas who came over. They was all in escape to victory, and all, weren't they?
Jans Torreson, was it? Torreson,
Yeah.
Jans and
Tyson.
The Ipswich and Norwich had a really good reputation in days for bringing young ones through into the first team. They had probably two of the best youth academies about at the time, strictly because they didn't really have the money to compete with the Arsenals and the Tottenhams.
Yeah.
So, and they were a bit like Watford, you know. That's the first thing Graham Taylor got going, was the youth setup and producing our own players. So I think it's vital that smaller clubs do that.
Yeah. Was Terry Butcher a youth player?
Terry,
was he?
Terry Butcher was with Osmond there.
Hmm.
That was a centre back pairing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mate, while we're talking about old school stuff, I'm going to put a photo up now, Nigel, right? And I want you to tell me what the hell's going on. You're obviously all sat there ready to take a team photo. Hang on, let me put it. There it is. Can you see it? We can see Nigel in the middle there, folks. Look, with the curly hair. Next to Barnsley.
It's one of them caption this moments, isn't it, that?
It is. Come on, mate. Can you remember
Spot the ball.
this? Ross Jenkins, look there, blimey.
Yeah, Kenny Jackett, Steve Sims. Charlie Palmer don't look too interested, does he? At the front.
It weren't one of them where the player had something hanging out of his shorts, because I've seen a couple of them photos when he wasn't meant to.
I think we might have been waiting for Elton John to come out, actually. I think Taylor had a phone call saying that he wanted to be in on the photo. So I think Taylor's left and we're just all sat there doing nothing at the moment.
And there's a couple of players on them. Jerry Armstrong there, look.
Yeah, Jerry.
Played for Watford when he got that wonder goal for Northern Ireland in Spain in the World Cup. And then look, Pat Rice.
Do you know the player next to Jerry Armstrong? Most unluckiest lad at Watford. He was our skipper, Will Frostron.
Yeah.
He got sent off in the semi-finals. That's
right.
He got sent off against Luton, and he ended up missing the final. You know, when you're talking about cup finals with teams like Watford, it's probably the only chance you'll ever get to play in a FA Cup final. So it was gutting for Will.
I remember that. Yeah. But anyway, I thought we'd have a little bit of nostalgia. But yeah, look, Pat Rice said not many people remember that. There was some. I mean, Kenny Sampson was at the club for a while. How do I get this photo off? There we go.
Do you know what? I learned so much off Pat Rice because I used to hate playing against players like Sampson and these attacking full-backs. As a winger, you end up playing right back half the time because the centre-backs want the full-backs to cover them. So you then get pulled back by the full-backs. And Pat Rice come to the club and he just went to centre-backs, you mark him. I've got him coming, Cally, you stay up there. And then obviously when the ball broke down, it came out to me, the full-back's out of position, and it's sort of like he stops coming forward so much then. And that's what Pat was. He just got hold of the younger lads there, and he had so much experience to give us, especially having him behind me was brilliant.
He was a great coach at Arsenal, wasn't he? They
called
him because it was all French. So they started calling him Patrice, didn't they? They did.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that was a bit of nostalgia there. Now we weren't on air last week, and so since our last show, we've been out and about, haven't we, Dan? Been busy.
Yeah.
We've been busy. Hence why Simon's on, because I bumped into him at Billericay. So, we've been doing some away day videos. I've been to Billericay, and then last night I was at Chippenham Town against Nottingham Forest in the Nottinghamshire Senior Cup. They played their under-23s. And you've been to Widnes.
Yeah, went to Bromley. Bromley against Wrexham a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
And who else have been? Corinthian Casuals is a good story behind them. They played against Haringey Borough. And then
let's just quickly flick on
the Bromley one. So
we've got a couple of little snippets. We'll just play a few seconds of some of the snippets because some of these videos you'll find really, really interesting. I don't know if Simon's in the background there. He knows which one the Corinthian casual.
Outside the ground now, I found a Bromley fan called Roy. He's going to have a little chat with us. Hello, Roy. Thanks for talking to us, mate.
That's all right, mate.
So how long have you been a Bromley fan in?
Oh, a bloody long time. Older than what you are. Middle 50s, my dad brought me down here.
Oh, brilliant.
My dad used to be in the T-bar doing the teas and the bobbles.
Oh, really? So
Yeah, and then 1960 was my first full season.
right, so you've seen it. You've seen the club come on a long way.
Oh, bloody long way,
Yeah. Because I was looking at this. I know that Bromley Boys film come out, and that was sort of based around the late 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, like 69, 70, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in it.
Oh, you really?
Well, some people praise me, but if you watch the film closely, you'll see me in the background
Right.
of some shots. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, he was a lovely fella, that bloke. Just hit gold there, him being in the Bromley Boys film and all that.
Yeah, there's a story behind that, isn't there, Dan?
What, the Bromley Boys?
Yeah. Tell the story about the movie, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, the movie is it's a sort of coming of age film, a young kid. Based on a true story in Bromley. They was known as the worst football team in the country at the time. And some boy went and started following them. And that was that fella. It was him and his mate, I believe.
Yeah.
They made a film out of it, and he's been going ever since. So, yeah, it was great to just bump into him by chance.
And that was just coincidental that you stopped him.
Yeah,
and he portrayed, or obviously there's an actor portrays him as part of that.
It's fun. I was talking to the Wrexham fans on the day about their Hollywood stars they got in. Was it Ryan Reynolds and someone else? And then I met another Hollywood star in Roy, the Bromley fan.
Yeah.
That's not an Hollywood star. There's a Roy at every football club in the world, isn't there?
I got him. I got his signature here somewhere.
But I'll give you a quick snippet of my trip to Billericay, who were playing Chippenham Town. Right, so here we go. Just coming into the stadium. Look at this. Look at this. Going to catch Greg now, because Greg's with me. Greg, hello, mate. How you doing?
Hello, mate. I'm fine, thank you.
You
Welcome to
so,
Billericay.
thank you so much for letting me come in and almost having to access all areas.
Oh, you have. You can go anywhere you like.
You know, so...
You can play if you want.
maybe they should have let him.
Could have been the back four.
I struggled turning that off. And, access all areas. We're getting back down that smutty road again. He actually said I could play if I wanted to before I just cut it off, and I went, yeah, I don't think so. But mate, I mean, look, you know, I went down there and I was actually blown away with the club. I thought the stadium and the facilities and everything else blown away. Oh dear, here we go.
It's turning a carry-on film this show, isn't
it? Fucking hell, guys, come on! This
carry-on
problem. You don't want to have dropped a bollock yet, mate.
That's all right.
No, Nigel's ultimate professional, mate. That's why we never got on in the game. You know, completely.
They were doing well, weren't they?
You what, mate?
I was going to say, Billericay won a little run until they lost against Chippenham.
So they lost to Chippenham 1-0.
And then I think they lost the last game as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they have. The only
they're a good little side, Billericay. They've really got on the turn since it started to look like it was, the writing on the wall. Yeah. I think I was talking to one of their lads at the front at half time, and they were talking about a couple of other players that they'd brought in. There was a young lad that's in on loan from Charlton. Apparently, he's been a revelation. He didn't play against us. He pulled out of an injury in training midweek, which seems like it might have been a bit of a blessing for us, really. And Greg Alford's there. He's good 500 appearances in the Football League. He was playing out of centre half, but he was running everything. So you can see why they've got on the turn. And like Gary said, the setup the club's got is unbelievable. Playing in that environment week in, week out can't do you any can't do you any harm, can it? So,
but people want to watch some of these videos because we give a really good insight into what's going on. We went out and we looked at the training facility out the back. They got another 3G pitch out the back, and but the stadium was just great. I thought, what a wonderful stadium, And
I've got to ask one thing, Gary. Did you get in the toilets? Before
Before
you go too far off, right, Dan, I can see your face, all right? There is a reason behind the
hell.
There's a reason behind the question. Did you see the decor they had in the toilets?
No.
It was like a black and silver granite marble. It looked like a nightclub. It was honestly a nightclub toilet.
Well, that wasn't everyone because I went in one in the because it was pretty much one in every corner, and but no, it was pretty standard toilet. But the facilities there are pretty immense. But a lot of that come down to the previous owner, that Chaplin fella.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and you know that all went a bit bandy. Yeah, and I think he sort of was a bit of a glitzy glamour type of guy. It was quite funny because if you watch the video, folks, you'll see this fantastic mural goes along the back of the main stand, and they've actually painted out the middle section now, but that used to be the previous owner in bed with his missus.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary, I've got a good story for you about Billericay and Glenn Samplin, if you want it.
Cool.
So when Glenn Samplin put all his money into Billericay, and obviously we all saw the clips of them, singing the world's greatest in the changing rooms, and all these out there kind of players that were signing, the Jamie O'Hara's, Konchesky, Jermaine Pennant, signing all of those big boys, and they went on a run, and they got up into the National South, and we played them after they started the season on fire. They were absolutely flying. They've come down with O'Hara, with Conch, Pennant. They've all played. And we beat them 2-0 at home. And all we heard from all these people at the end of the game was, coming down here, getting beaten by a village pub team. It's bloody disgusting, yada, yada, yada. Their manager at the time, Harry Wheeler, was sacked in the 85th minute of the football game by a text by Glenn Samplin, who wasn't there.
No.
He sent Harry Wheeler a text along the lines of, losing 2-0 away at Chippenham, you're done.
Bloody hell.
Within 24 hours, he'd reinstated him. After a brief 24 hours as first-team manager himself, he brought Harry Wheeler back. We went up the Billericay, up the AGP later on in the season, and they were looking to right a few wrongs, and we beat him 2-1. He got sacked again. We sacked the same manager for the same club twice in the same season.
I'm not surprised, mate.
If you're listening, Mark, don't lose to Chippenham on Friday.
I mean, the one thing, I interviewed some of the fans on the day, and they did say the one good thing that came out of his tenure there was the fact that he did pump quite a bit of money into that stadium, which is quite apparent. It's got the terrace in either end. It's a lovely stadium. And I've got to say, the one thing that blew me away, Nigel, I know you're friends with Greg. Have you ever been down there, mate?
Not yet. No, I've not had a chance to really. But
mate, well, we'll have to go down there, mate. We'll have to get a hotel or something down there, mate, because the booze that they've got on Array makes the Premiership look stupid. Mate, they got Stella, they got Moratti, they got the lot, mate.
You want to see what Greg's got in his
grand? You stand and watch the game.
He's got his own bar in his house, mate. All the latest IPA and.
If you watch the video, you'll see me getting a bit excited about it, and I go to the outside bar, which is a massive, huge, long bar out in one corner of the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, look, Stella! You won't get that in Premier League.
The thing is, I mean, like the refreshments and the booze, that's a big profit maker for the clubs, So obviously, like you say, you was quite impressed with it. They sell a lot of that. That's a big income coming in from.
Well, I mean, they had just over 900 that day, I think, Simon, that was there.
It was a good turn up.
It was about night. So yeah, I mean, your revenue
about the bar at every level, mate. The bar is at non-league level. It's your biggest money maker outside of your refreshments. Your burgers, your hot dogs, and all that. But your bar is the lifeblood of non-league fans. They go 9 times out of 10 because they can have a drink at the game. And when you look at the casual non-league supporters at a turn around and say to you, why are you interested in non-league? The game's more approachable. The players are more approachable. You can have a beer on the terraces. You can have a day out at the football, whereas you can't really do that in the Prem no more. You can't.
This is what I found when I went to Widnes Saturday against Kidsgrove, and I've got to give Kidsgrove Athletic fans a shout out because they're a fantastic Saturday. But
Got
Widnes is
that if you
a.
want.
Gonna show it now. Go on in,
Yeah,
mate.
go for it. I've got it. I can see side jumping up. He's got it ready, I think. Go on then.
Right. 2 minutes left. Go on, all. Good driving, good boys. Yeah, no, that was it was a brilliant day out, but it was because it's like a championship ground, the Widnes Rugby League Stadium. So they only open one stand up. So you go in, it's like a proper concourse that you get in any championship or premiership club. So there was only it weren't like a non-league experience, if you know what I mean. But the kids what's Gary doing? The Kids Grove fans are fantastic though. Brilliant.
Danny,
Yes, mate.
I think you were singing a different song today. I was watching your lips.
Hold on a second. I've got a cut in. There's a geezer in the chat, Andrew Brown, calling our bar a shed.
Hey, I know Danny's just bars in them.
I have to write it down.
I don't know what's
It looked
going
like
on
some
there.
earlier comments. I think he's a Weymouth fan.
I wasn't with you guys. I'm going and cut the
He's frozen. But no, it was a fantastic stadium. But I don't think Widnes can progress, because I think there's only 160 people there, about 40 kids grow. But for them to progress and get the community involved, I think you just got to be more of a non-league. He's stuck in it. More of a non-league atmosphere about it to make you want to go along. But yeah, great shout, massive shout out to Kids Grow fans. Though that was great. Gary, you with us, mate? Are you?
That's a beautiful image, that, isn't it? Beautiful image.
I think that's the best Gary's been for a long time, isn't it?
Someone would clip that. That'd be his WhatsApp photo by next week.
Right, I better take over, and So, FA Cup semi-final weekend coming up, isn't it?
I don't know. We went out of it 6 months ago.
We've got there's two big, well, obviously 2 games in the semi-final, aren't there? But Liverpool, Man City, 2 amazing sides, aren't they, Nigel? I mean,
Liverpool Man City should have been 4-1 up at half time in the first match.
Yeah.
You know, they threw the points away there. I think your boys have got a chance against Chelsea. You know, they're not having the best of times at the moment, are they?
It was great.
I was going to say, to be 3-0 up at Real Madrid and then get beat, you know, that must have really knocked the stuffing out of them.
Oh, and to go extra time and all, so that was another half hour that to play around. No, I was rubbing my hands when I was watching that. But yeah, we got a shout. We're just going for the day out, and whatever happens, happens. But shame Conor Gallagher can't play because he's been on fire this season for us. But I think it's wrong. I'm not just saying it because I'm a Palace fan, but they let him play against all the other teams, so he does make a difference. He does benefit Chelsea, didn't he, playing against all the other teams? So
it's all about who turns up on a semi-final, isn't it? I mean, like everything, all the league form goes out the door when you're in the semi-finals and the final. So, but I'd be wanting to play Chelsea now. If I was playing pro football for Palace, I'd be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You know,
the games you've got to look forward to, aren't they? You know, it's when you're a Crystal Palace, the chance may never come again. No offense, Dan. You know,
no.
You know, that sort of that echelon of the Premier League to get into the FA Cup semi-final. When you look at the other 3 sides that are left in there with them, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, you'd expect that. You'd expect to see them there year on year.
Yeah.
But with absolute maximum respect to Palace and their fans, that's an interchangeable side there, Crystal Palace. You could take probably 15 other sides in the Premier League that would chop their arm off to be there and be calling themselves the underdogs. But you know, it's one of those. You know, it's an FA Cup semi-final. It's a one-off game, and as Palace have proved against multiple people throughout the season, they can do it on one game, and that's all the final.
Yeah, 4 points off Man City, and we haven't let a goal against them this season, so we've got it in us. But yeah, all on the day, like you said, Nigel. But the other game, it seems like Liverpool, Man City could be in the Champions League final as well if they both get through. So I mean,
I'll tell you what, though, when you look at the quality of football both of them teams play, I mean, that was a great match. From a neutral point of view, it was a great match to watch the other night. Even though, you know, I wanted City to win, and they should have been 4-1 up at half time. But I mean, Liverpool and City, the football they were playing that day was unbelievable.
Yeah, so fast, isn't it? They're so fast.
Yeah, movement off the ball.
They're making the game look a bit stupid, aren't they? Those two sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are. Yeah. So, what was your thoughts on the game last night? I put a post up on our page saying it was a result for football, and with Atletico and Simeone going out. But I got a bit of stick, and I sort of agree. I suppose you can play whatever style you want. Did you come up against any rough teams in your time, Nigel, who just tried to, other than your own?
When we got through to the cup final, we played Birmingham in the quarterfinals, and that whole side were a bunch of buddy boys. I mean, Noel Blake, Van der Nel.
Van der Nel, God, he was a nasty.
He used to play with his elbow in my face every time the referee's back was turned. He had his elbow in my face, and they had a team. Tony Coton, he was, all them Mick Harford. They had a team full of thugs, and you knew that you was going to come up with a few bruises after that match.
Mick Harford was one of the oldest players I've ever seen, I think.
Well, Mick, I was DJing at a club in Luton actually when I played for Watford, but it was on a Wednesday night, and Taylor knew about it, and all the Luton players used to come in, and Mick Harford, he'd come up to you and he'd sort of stare at you, and you think he's going to knock you out, and then he'd just come out with like, "You're going to buy me a drink then or what?" Anything you want, Mick. But he actually come up to me afterwards outside, and he went, "He's a hard sod, And I went, "Who?" He went, "Coates." He says he's a hard sod. He says nobody messes about with him. And the reason when he came to Watford, he had to go on a court trial for GBH. And Taylor said to all of us, "You've got to protect him. When you go out, if anybody tries to provoke him, you have to drag him away because he's on a suspended sentence or whatever it was." But he told us what it was some guy had mugged his granddad, got in the house and nicked money and all that lot. And he knew that because he drinks around his local pubs, he knew that sooner or later he'd hear who's done it. And he found out and he gave this guy a bit of a hiding. So that's how he ended up with that court date. But he certainly
a lot of Birmingham people have said that about Tony Coton, mate. Hard bastard. Hard bastard.
Great
Goalkeeper, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Played at Watford. Yeah, played at Watford. Played at Birmingham City. Where else did he go? Did he go?
Man City.
Yeah, he's fit for Villa, weren't he? And then he went to Man United.
Man United, that's right. He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if you had to put someone down to take a penalty after extra time, I'd stick him 1 or 2. He could strike a ball, mate. I've seen him hit balls, because I used to go in goal and he'd have a few shots, and he could hit a ball as well as anybody. But I still keep in touch with Tony. He's a great bloke.
Yeah. So do you think that Simone's tactics last night were over the top? These were Atletico's tactics over the last few seasons? Was it, or was it just part of football, a different way of playing?
Well, they came to shut up house at City, didn't they? And then I think if they'd have got the 0-0 at City, they'd have been far more attacking at home. But City, the manager, Pep Guardiola said that it may be that they go there and do the same thing, shut up shop, and play for the draw, which is what happens really. But I think they lost a couple of players yesterday, though, didn't they?
Yeah.
Injuries to
Ben Cliff from Kidsgrove, he's a Stoke fan as well. He's saying Jerry Taggart in the last few years was one of the hardest players they've seen at Stoke. We had Kevin Muscat at Palace for a while. He was like a murderer. He was evil. I don't know if you ever come across him. Kevin Muscat was at Millwall, just nasty player.
I played against Joe Jordan in the testimonial game. Bloody hell! I went in late on him and he stood over me. I thought he was going to kill me. I mean, he's frightening, mate.
He's an angry. He was a scary man as an assistant manager, Joe Jordan.
Yeah,
I remember him coming down one time when we had a friendly. I was out about with a couple of friends of mine that were playing for Havant and Waterlooville, and we played Portsmouth pre-season, and there was a load of fans behind the goal giving him a load of stick at the start of the year. And Joe Jordan's walked out of the dugout, walked over to the supporters at the back, and he's just started wagging his finger, and every one of them just went. Just a scary guy.
Just had Mark Dennis pop up there. Did you ever play against Mark Dennis? Was he a bit after your time, Nigel?
No, horrible player. He spat in my face.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, when we played Southampton, and that's probably as close as I've come to hitting a player on a pitch. And I think the referee booked him, but in this day and age, he'd been off.
Yeah. He was a very good player. Could have probably played for England, but his disciplinary let him down, didn't it?
He's a nutcase. Like Stuart Pearce was hard, but you knew what you was going to get with Stuart Pearce. Like you knew you ain't going to come up with a pitch without a mark. Van den Hal was just a nutcase. I mean, I played against him when I went Wellingborough for a trial. I think it was Welling there, and we were playing Tottenham reserves in the afternoon, and his name appeared on the team sheet. And I went out there, and I've gone to him. I says, "It's only a friendly today, Pat. All right." 70 minutes I lasted without getting kicked. And then obviously it came, but yeah, I think I can take the kicks and stuff like that. But when a player spits in your face. That's just filth.
Nah, that's wrong.
That's over the top.
Totally wrong,
but tackles. I know that the tackle from behind's thankfully gone now, but that must have been, you're just expecting a whack in the back, weren't you, Nigel? Every time you got the ball, just come right through the back of you back then.
Do you know what? When I be back to Stuart Pearce and the ball was coming up to me, it was like hearing a ball run up behind you. You could feel the ground rumble, and you just knew he was going to come through you. And in a way, though, it sort of made you a better player because you sort of started moving earlier because you know he's going to be on your back. So whereas you're waiting for the ball to come to you, you sort of now you're going towards the ball. So you're keeping away from him. So you do learn a bit when you get players kicking hell out of you. But obviously, they in them days, they got the first 10, 15 minutes to kick lumps out of you, and then the referee go and have a word with them. And then they'd probably get another 3 attempts at you before they'd even get booked. So you just knew it was coming. It's different now. I mean, you can get sent off in the first minute now, can't you?
Yeah. It's changed totally, isn't it? Our defenders defend, and the whole game's changed, isn't it, really, with that?
Yeah, I mean, people, we had Steve Harrison at Watford, used to deck a player and then he'd help him up by his armpits and pull the hairs out. So it looks like he's helping him up with his arm, and he's got his hand on his hairy armpits, and he's pulling the hair.
What's the refereeing like at the Division South level, Simon? Are they on top of things, tackles and like that? Is it?
Gary, is this where you turned around earlier and said if anyone asks a question where I'm not allowed to give an opinion that's going to get me in trouble, I could shut the door?
Yeah.
Right.
This is one of them times.
I'll give you 2 answers, mate. As a club official, they do a very good job, and we couldn't have a game without them. As a supporter, plunder, absolute plunder. When you consider that at the very top level of football, there are mistakes getting made left, right, and centre in the professional game by referees, and they've got the benefits of 1,000 cameras and VAR now, and they're still making mistakes. You can understand the concept and the kind of the level of refereeing and officiating we get at that level. It's a real bugbear because ultimately you never want games to be dictated by the person refereeing. You never want a ref to be the focal point of games, but unfortunately, more often than not at the National South level, they are poor. If we're completely honest.
I think that's the same in League Two.
As a non-official of the club, yeah.
That's just as a bog standard supporter of the football club. I mean, every supporter of any football club is always going to turn around and say referees are plunder based on the fact they give decisions for and against their football club. 9 times out of 10, it all comes down to opinion-based stuff. The only thing that I'd ever ask is someone who I fancy myself as somebody who knows the game, and I can understand if one of my lads goes and clatters somebody in the penalty area. I can understand why we're conceding a penalty. I think consistency is the big buzzword for referees at that level. Very inconsistent and decisions that don't necessarily make sense in the 90th minute, but they're giving them in the first and second. We've had last week against Maidstone, last kick of the game, Mo Dabray's gone flying around the goalkeeper. Tom Adler's come out and he's not managed to put his arms on him. The contact is that severe. He's taken him down with his stomach. He's cut straight across him. Dabray, he's gone flying. Referees said no penalty. He's waved it off. At the end of the game, he's come over to where we stood, myself, a couple of other officials and the gaffer. And he's turned around and said there was contact, but we didn't feel that the contact was enough to send him to the floor. Well, the contact was obviously enough to send him to the floor because that's where we end up. So he's basically come over afterwards and said, look, I've made a mistake. I've not given a penalty when I should have done. I've probably, pardon me French, I've probably shat myself in front of the away end, 300 supporters at Maidstone, chasing a title, and I've probably I've shirked the big decision, and it's easier to send them home with 3 points than it is to really cause a controversy. But you want them to do the right thing, but more and more it seems that referees would be less inclined to do that, and I think you're seeing more and more of it creeping in, and unfortunately it's not something that I can see changing because we've got nothing coming at the back of it. No referees biting the hand off to take their places. Certainly no referees falling out at the top level of football that are chomping at the bit to get in the non-league. So it's just one of them things we're going to have to get on with.
Yeah. Well,
it's a shame that some of the players that haven't quite made the grade as footballers haven't thought about going into refereeing, because you certainly see a game from a different point of view, and you know whether a player's really going in to win the ball or what he's going in to do. You pick them things up as a footballer.
Absolutely. We've got a lad, Sam Allison, who's now EFL referee, who used to be he was a striker for Chippenham Town only like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And he's got into refereeing, and he's doing fairly successful with it. The trouble is the lure of and you'll all know this from your involvement in football, however sort of intricate it might be. Everyone knows that a referee's on a hiding to nothing, and when you give out the ghost as a player, and who wants a career when you're basically going to get abused for 90 minutes every Saturday? It's an hardship, unfortunately. It's one of those things that you'll never be able to stop supporters doing it. You'll never get fans to get off the referee's back. Can you control it from the playing side? Maybe a little bit better. The whole respect campaign a few years ago that sort of seemed to make a bit of headway, but we're back to normal now, aren't we? Like a lot of initiatives that come in at the top level of football. We're back to normal. It was all about respecting referees 5 years ago, and if you get in their face and surround them with more than one player, it's instant yellow cards. You don't see it anymore.
It's in kids. I'm on a referees group. I don't know how I got in this Facebook group, but I'm in this referees forum, and but it's all levels, kids football, and they're saying exactly the same happening in kids football. Abuse, they're getting the parents. Nothing's changed. All this respect rubbish. It hasn't. Nothing. It wasn't rubbish, but it's not made no difference, and it's turning young kids and referees away from the game, and they don't get backed by their FAs either. The FAs don't back these referees.
They do nothing to back them in person. I mean, the problem is we look at situations where I'm down in Portsmouth and I've got a Sunday League side down here, and we look at the standard of officiating being very different from level to level. But the reason why referees don't receive the level of support they do, they go out on a Sunday morning, and the reason they get their money, they pull out about 25 quid a game, and you've got a very real threat of getting in trouble. Yeah. You give a decision on a Saturday afternoon at Loftus Road or wherever. You've got cameras all over you. You're protected. You give a decision down the Wreck on a Sunday morning with a geezer who had too much to drink the night before, who's a bit annoyed that he had to get dragged out in the morning at 10 o'clock, and he's getting in charge for getting lumps kicked out of him. Suddenly, as soon as you're giving them decisions, you're putting yourself in the firing line. Yeah. And unfortunately, that is where you breed referees. You breed referees at the lower level of football. And these kiddies coming out of school at 15, 16 years old that want a career in football and have chosen to go down the refereeing route, the first time they'll touch down is either in grassroots football or kids football, wherein they're both getting one and the other, getting blasted with absolute pelters from either really angry parents or grizzled up, angry Sunday League footballers. Yeah. So the progression isn't there. Nobody wants a career in refereeing anymore.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I get that. We are actually 6 minutes over time, but I'm quite happy for us to go over another 5. Are you all right for another 5 minutes, Nigel? Because I know you've got to get off onto your mixed cloud.
Yeah, go on then.
5 minutes tops, and then we'll wrap it up. Just
the latest results, girl. Do you know them? Leicester have gone through. Leicester 1-2-1 in PSV Eindhoven. They've gone through, and Rangers are 1-0 up against Braga. 36 minutes. West Ham's 0-0 still at Lyon at the minute, but.
That's still 0-0. Interesting. Yeah. Obviously, I was offline for a little while. Cally, some of the people there agreeing with what you were saying about maybe having ex-footballers in reffing would improve the level of reffing. So, yeah, people agreeing with yourself there. Have we touched on the semis at all?
Yep. That's another phone call.
Your face looked like this when we were talking about it.
Yeah, we've all touched on the semis.
Oh, what a fucking night we've had here, eh?
Gary, shut the door.
Yeah. Gary, do you want to touch on the semi for a bit, Gary? While you was off?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you've done that good. Well, I'm glad you've done that. You touched me semi and we're away. Right.
It's getting edgier now, isn't it? It's getting a little bit close to the knuckles.
Simon,
Watershed ain't till 9
Honestly,
o'clock.
you've been an absolute superstar tonight. It's been
Thank you,
great
mate.
having you on. Will you come back on?
Of course I will, mate.
With us,
Anytime.
come and join us on sometimes. It's been, guys, you've got to admit, it's been great, isn't he? Very,
Yeah, brilliant.
Really
Really
good.
good.
it's been a
Absolutely.
good thing.
Come back, mate.
We had loads we wanted to touch on. We're going to wrap up over the next couple of minutes. We're going to talk a lot about our away day videos. Guys, go to our YouTube channel and pick up on them. We're going to be releasing one tonight, where I did last night. I got just big congratulations to Chippenham Town in beating Nottingham Forest under 23s, which is an achievement because there was professionals against part-timers, whatever way you look at it. Fantastic game, brilliant result, and well-deserved. Done the video. Watch it. I've got interviews with players. I spoke. They had the special guest there, Mick Gorman, the director of cricket at Nottingham County Cricket, and also an ex-England selector. And I've got a video of a question and answers with him as well that will come out. But there is a snippet of that in the away day video. But yeah, watch it. It was really good last night because they got me to do the man of the match and everything. It was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, really good. That's out there. We got the Widnes one out from Saturday there, and we got all our other ones. Watch the Billericay one. Watch the Bromley one. They're really, really informative. And then join us next Thursday for a bit of footy chatter. Absolutely. I've enjoyed it tonight. It's been good. It's been, we ain't covered half of what we were going to.
You weren't there for most of it.
Yeah, I have got to sort my internet out. Seriously, got to sort. He got
pulled off.
Craig Dawson. Right, so West Ham have gone 1-0 up. Craig Dawson, I'm not kidding. When we got rid of him to West Ham, we were grateful. He was we got him from West Brom, who thought he was a donkey. He come to us, we think he was a donkey. He goes to West Ham, he becomes a superstar.
You seen this question that's just come through the top right?
1-0 up.
Who's the best player in the world?
Got to hand that over to the pro, haven't we?
Yeah, Nigel. Who's the best player in the world at the moment?
I like De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne is a great player.
There you go. You've had a Chippenham, have you, Nigel?
I would not. Who is the best player in the world? Come on.
He's right. It's De Bruyne.
Yeah, I think he's right.
Yeah, he's the most complete footballer in the world at the moment.
Have we said anything about the Ronaldo situation? Has anyone said anything about that?
No.
Did you finish on that one?
You wanted to, didn't you?
What a petulant prick. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, let's take this from a perspective of a player. When you've just been battered up at Everton, who can't buy a win for love nor money all season, the last thing you want is people shoving stuff in your face, taking the mick, and that is exactly what was happening.
Oh look,
the real problem is a large aspect of people forget that when they see, and I know it's a hardship, but you see these lads on the telly and they're professional footballers, but they're people, and ultimately. They're people, if you're going to shove a phone in someone's face after a hard loss when it's stacked against you, he didn't hit it out of his hand, did he? He pushed it out of his hand. He didn't mean to drop it, and all the fallout.
He's got a massive bruise on his hand, hasn't he? He's got a...
I wouldn't be surprised, Dan, if someone's gone home and drawn that on with a felt tip pen, mate.
Have you seen the picture of is it like a kid done up as a mummy and with arms out and all in bandages? He's got.
I do think it.
He's not bruised anyone with a tackle in about 15 years, but you will anybody believe he's bruised a kid's hand with a slap? Nah.
I still say he's a petulant prick, but anyway, what I do disagree with is everyone screaming it's assault. I don't agree with that. I've seen the video. You're quite right. He shouldn't have done it. He absolutely shouldn't have done it, and he needs to be punished for doing that. He shouldn't do it. But you're right. He slaps down on the kid to knock his phone out of the hand. Mate, there has to be a line on what
my mum hit me harder than that at a weekend when I got told off for swearing.
Yeah. I think it's a bit over the top.
Do you know what it is half the time though, Go? It's like again in the older days, if someone took a picture of you, it wouldn't bother you. But these guys know that anything that gets taken of them is going to end up on social media. Yeah. That's probably why you're getting your reactions of players. Because, it's social media.
Yeah. He's chucking the good questions, and he got best player of all time now.
Best player of all time.
Who has?
Lightning Tomboy.
I like Zidane. Zinedine Zidane was my. Obviously, other than Nigel Callaghan. Sorry.
I was going to say, mate, Nigel Callaghan.
Maradona.
Maradona for me was the best player of all time.
Yeah.
He's just ruined it.
Did they sell his shirt? Did Steve Hodge sell his shirt for £4 million?
20th of April it goes up.
Does it?
But they come out that they said it wasn't. The daughter said it ain't the real shirt. But Sotheby's have
I thought about
verified
that. Right?
it.
What she's saying is that was the shirt he wore in the first half.
Yeah.
Not the shirt in the second half when he got the hand of God. Now, I'm sorry, but I can't believe Steve Hodge is swapping shirts at our fucking time. Surely.
No.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they said it, I'm like, come on, someone please use their head and go, well, they wouldn't do it at half time.
Didn't somebody in the Premier League get in stick for that quite a few years ago for swapping shirts at half time? I think it was Pogba for Man United. Didn't he try and swap his shirt at half time with someone in Europe?
Yeah, a couple of times. Yeah. But I think Sotheby's have authenticated that is a shirt from the second half. They've analysed it and done it. And
sweat nodules under the armpits. Right, listen, guys, Nigel's got to go on. Remember, everyone, Mixcloud with Nigel every night of the week from 9 o'clock. Banging tunes. So we're going to call it a day. So, Nigel, any last word from you, sir? Everyone, Mixcloud, there's his handle. Get on there. Last word, sorry.
Yeah, it's been a good show. I've enjoyed it. Good to meet you, Simon.
And you, mate, very much.
Good luck with the rest of the season.
Thanks, mate. And anytime you want to pop down, mate, you know you're more than welcome. Just give me a shout.
Yeah, we'll do, yeah. Where's that dog come from?
Sorry, it's my dog.
What's going on here?
I'm just going dogging.
That's all right, guys.
And that's the 5.
We started.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. I'll pass it on to the boys.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
see you later, guys.
Great show.
See you, Nigel.
See you later.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Take care, everyone. Honestly, mate, not a problem.
We had to let him go. Last word from you, Dan.
Goodbye. No, it's been. I've really enjoyed it tonight. It's been just ad lib, isn't it? We just cracked on other subjects, and it's really great to meet you, Simon. Really interesting,
yeah,
mate.
and definitely, we'd like to get you back on a bit more often because it's been great. And I think this
whenever,
is.
mate, I never get bored of talking about football, Gary. So
yeah, no. And I think this is where we need to be going. We have some great people on, and we've tried a few different formats, but maybe the format is just talk football.
There's some great interaction from all the people in the comments tonight. We've been reading them all. Ben Cliff, Lightning, Tony Boy.
Yeah.
Got to give a shout out to my mate Barry, because he's cited me out on his onesie. I've had a few people that have. But I posted the link halfway through because I didn't realise that it was obviously linked up through the Facebooks and that. So I thought it was going to be.
It's on everyone. They'll be able to.
I didn't realise that, so I went and tapped away and put it in my own personal one, and I've had a few people logged on, and so
they'll be able to watch the replay. By the way, that'll replay. They'll be able to go on and watch the whole show.
Super.
So they'll be able to watch the whole show. It replays. We're 2-0 up now.
Brilliant. In that case, Mama made it. I'm on the telly. You know.
Yeah. If you watch it via YouTube, you can put it up on your big telly.
Still carry on proper football.
We'll leave it there. Like I say, pretty much about to release the away day video from last night. Honestly, it really is a banger. So watch that one. And it's really, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know majority of you watch on Facebook, but we really need to get it over to YouTube as much as we can. So we'd appreciate that as well. And it's good night from me.
Yeah, good night from me. And good luck to Palace. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right,
Simon,
don't go anywhere. Stay on.
Okay.
And bye all. See you next Thursday.